What's up, Mets fans? Welcome to the first episode of the Queen's Faithful Roundtable. As Chris just blocked out of the stream, but that's okay. He'll be back. We're going to have the full crew here in just a second, but thank you for tuning in, guys, to this first Roundtable show of the season. It's not what we want, as this team actually sucks right now and on pace for 100 losses right now, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to vent, and we're going to get your comments and everything like that. But we're going to get through the roundtable really quick and say what up to my partner, Chris. How you doing, buddy?
It wouldn't be StreamYard if it wasn't for technical difficulties, honestly. It wouldn't be. But you know what? Listen, we're here talking Mets. Nothing better. I appreciate the roundtable. Listen, it's actually really great to get some more opinions on our streams rather than just robbing myself all the time. My guy, Hector. Eddie, shout out to you too. But Hector, you know, we did the roundtables before. It's good to get you back too.
Heck yeah.
At this point of the year, I know you can see a snippet of it over here. It's Knicks time right now. It's Knicks time. That's it. I mean, we were talking Mets tonight, but hopefully you all are Knicks fans and not Nets fans, and that's really it. But we got a lot to talk about today. I like to call this roundtable the way that I've been advertising it, because this is episode 1. I've been advertising this as raw and unfiltered Mets opinions and discussions, because at this point, there's not a one-size-fits-all solution and answer to what the hell has been going on with this team, because there is a lot that is wrong with this team. And we're going to try to get to the bottom of it right here. So I definitely appreciate it. And hopefully you all are tuning in. Make sure to smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, all the channels right here over on YouTube, and hit the live chat comments. Let's hear what you all have to say too. I definitely appreciate it. Let's do it.
What up, Heck?
What's going on? What's going on, brothers? And like Chris said, man, it's good to be back and part of the roundtable with you fellas. And it's good. You say your partner, Chris, is good to bring my partner along, my guy, Eddie. And as Chris said, it's going to be raw and unfiltered. You know, Eddie and I were doing the Mets Talk Unfiltered last season. We haven't been able to do it this season because we've both been all over the place. My guy, Eddie, we won't say too much, but my guy, Eddie, was dealing with something. Good to have him back and see him doing well. He knows what I'm talking about. But listen, not too excited to talk about this team, but always excited to talk to other Met fans and other great content creators like yourselves. And looking forward to this. And like you said, episode 1, so it should be fun. Hopefully it'll get better. Don't really have any faith that it will. And you said it, Chris. Listen, you see, I'm not wearing no Mets anything. I'm not wearing no Mets nothing. And I was gonna wear some Knicks stuff. I said, you know what, Hector? Don't be an idiot. Don't be an idiot. But now I wish that I did with Chris's intro. I really wish that I did. But yeah, man, it's a lot to talk about, but nothing good to talk about, unfortunately. But good to be here for sure.
Yeah. What up, Eddie?
What up, fellas? Appreciate you guys having me on. Wish it was under better circumstances. I wish we were dealing with a team that, maybe it was like 500, that's not asking for much. But, we're, of course, dealing with a team that's 10 games under 500 with the worst record in MLB. So, yeah, couldn't be under worse circumstances. But I'm excited to work with all you guys. And I'm excited for this roundtable because at least we can kind of like cope, because that's been the hardest thing right now is coping and trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with this thing. And what is going on? What do we do? Where do we go? So I'm happy. Yes, I want to talk Knicks too, Chris. I'm with you, but unfortunately,
it's going to turn into the Knicks roundtable.
We could easily do that.
We could easily do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, this is a great question, right? How many games will the Mets lose before the Knicks play in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Oh,
right, that's a great question, right?
and that's open, right? Because we don't know if the Knicks will play either Sunday or Tuesday or whatever the hell it is.
Sunday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Is it Monday or Tuesday?
Sunday or Tuesday. It's one or the other.
Tuesday, right.
So
and how many games for the Mets before then? At least 3 with Detroit. Oh, the whole 3 with Detroit and possibly 3 with the Yankees.
Yeah, it could be 7 or 8. To be honest.
Oh, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
So what do you figure? 1 and 6?
Let's go.
I sure hope that's not 1 and 5. I sure
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. And listen, guys, the state of the Mets is obviously trash right now, and we all know what we're watching every single game. We're not excited to turn on SNY anymore. It's just not exciting to turn on a game, right? When you got Ibanez and Slater, in the middle of this lineup on games where you can win another series and finish up a road trip where you win every series, you start to get pissed off over and over and over again. And, as much as, David Stearns talks about the prospects, and we're seeing guys lighting it up like AJ Ewan, Morabito, Clifford are just rolling in, double A, triple A. And we have to watch Slater and Ibanez and other, guys that are barely major leaguers. And honestly, we would rather just see, some prospects come up and take that spot. But we know service time is all that matters to David Stearns and not really winning. So with the Mets and their offense that just has been absolutely terrible all season, let's be honest about that. I mean, when Lindor was, trying to put this team on his back when Soto was hurt, didn't happen. When Soto is on his own without Lindor now, the team has been a little bit better, but just as bad. And nothing's been going right for the New York Mets. Everything has been going wrong. And with the state of the Mets, now we have to talk about it, because the biggest problem right now with this team is, because honestly, I think they have until the end of the month to really try to at least get to 500. Because if you don't, we're already hearing rumblings about the Cubs and Peralta and God knows how many others. I mean, this will be a fire sale before we even get into the middle of June, end of June. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's teams that are probably calling the Mets right now, trying to see if they're going to be buyers or sellers, or most likely sellers at this point. And it's frustrating because we're not even talking about the games anymore. We're talking about who is going to be traded, what's a tradable contract on this team. Like this is what we were talking about in 2024 when they were 11 games under 500, and we're talking about this now, and it's May 11th. And that's frustrating within itself. Heck, you're the only one in New York right now basically going to games at will. And you even talked about being nauseous before we even started. Like, that's something that we can't even, we can't comprehend anymore. How, like, nobody could have predicted, as positive as you are or negative as you are, nobody thought it can be this bad. And they're on pace for 100 wins. So, Eddie, I'm going to start with you when it comes to this team, right? Obviously, the offense is terrible. But if you can just pinpoint a couple of things that is the biggest problem with this team not getting, continue to get in their way, what are they?
I mean, it's obvious. It's the lineup, and it's obvious. I mean, the lineup that we're putting out there day to day is absolutely atrocious. I mean, you have Melendez hitting fourth. You have these guys who I've never even heard of up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago getting real playing time and playing every single day. And this is a team that's payroll that's almost $400 million. And we are averaging, I think it's 3.5 runs a game, which is the lowest it's been since 1982 from the Mets. So that is the obvious problem. I mean, we have nobody. Everybody's hurt. Everything has gone wrong. And it's basically the lineup. The pitching's not been terrible. We've been in games. It's just that we can't hit. And we have guys that are absolute bums playing every single day, and we can't keep running this out there because we're already 10 games under 500. It's extremely early. Just to get a real decent bat in here, it's going to cost us a fortune, okay? So I am just so frustrated. We need to do something. These guys got to start hitting. The Beatties, all these other guys, they've taken a step back. Everybody, even Soto. Soto's not been good. Who else? I mean, it's everybody. Nobody is contributing, and it's really on the offensive end. And then when you go and you look at the WAR numbers, we have guys playing in the negative zone or at a zero. Like, I thought we were supposed to be we got all this WAR back when we got rid of all these other guys. It's not there anymore. Only WAR we're seeing is the WAR that we're losing. And that's every single game. We're losing the WAR. And that's the season. So that's what's going on. We're terrible. We have no offense. And something needs to give. If you got to go trade for somebody, do it. I think it's probably too early. But it's getting late early. And again, we have the worst record in baseball. But here's the one thing I'll say, and I'll end it on this, is baseball in general, when you look at the standings, There's like 2 or 3 really good teams. And after that, everybody's pretty much mid or trash. So if we were ever to go on a run and get to 500, we could actually be in the mix for a wild card. We're not that far away. But we are that far away when you look at this lineup and who's going out there playing day to day.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? They still can't get out of their own way because you said it. The National League isn't that good. Like 2 or 3 teams, and even them, they're teams that have, like the Cubs. Like, does anybody trust the Cubs, even though they're playing well right now? Probably not, right? It's the Dodgers and everybody else. Like, let's be honest about that. All they need is to go on a decent run. Like, they can just 9 out of 10. You'll be right back in it. And I agree with Eddie in that sense. So, Hector, state of the Mets in your eyes. Any problems, that you noticed?
No problems at all. Everything is good. You got guys that the numbers will be there on the back of the baseball card at the end of the year. Who cares if Bo Bichette and Juan Soto go 0 for 10 in a series, or 0 for whatever the hell it was? You know what I'm saying? Who the hell cares? Who are you to criticize him? You're a hater, Hector, because you say the guys are not playing now. Well, now, and when they get better, you can't say anything. Listen, this team, and what more can I add to what Eddie said? Like, he nailed it. But when you look at the numbers, 3-9 in 1-run games, 3-9 in 1-run games, and that goes to what Eddie's talking about. Guys, this team has a 3.85 ERA, a 3.85 ERA. That's a winnable ERA. Yes. That's an over 500 team ERA. That's maybe a division leading team ERA, except that this team scores 3.47 runs a game. You cannot win ball games like that. And that's why you're 3-9 in 1-run games. Listen, I don't understand it. You have, obviously, guys that we've been waiting now 3-4 years, how long it's been, for the Alvarezes and the Beatties and the Vientos and the Mauricio, who, listen, I don't even like putting him in there too much, but he's still part of the whole baby Mets nonsense that we've been waiting for. And then how is it that you bring guys in here? First of all, the biggest problem is everybody wanted to talk about all this war we were bringing in, like Eddie referenced. But what about games played? What about the ifs that you brought into this team that was already full of ifs? Right? So you took away supposedly these guys that you couldn't go with anymore because it wasn't working, and you filled this with a bunch of question marks, and it's playing out just how you would expect. So yeah, for 2 weeks, I was thinking, man, Hector, you were really loud when anybody brought up Luis Robert, and you said you don't want no part of him because you didn't trust that he could ever get on the field. And is he really good for 1 year? But we don't know what the hell he is. Well, for 2 weeks, he was making me look bad. Well, here we are. Who the hell knows when we'll see Luis Robert again? Everybody got all crazy because Jorge Polanco had 2 home runs of a Scooble, and oh my gosh, this is the playoff killer, Jorge Polanco, and we forgot that this guy's another guy that was below average on defense and could also barely get on the field. So what's gone wrong is David Stearns took a gamble, and everything he gambled on has gone wrong. Even the damn coaches. I mean, I guess we can leave that Willard dude alone, but what the hell are the hitting coaches doing? Because we had the same problems that we had. We can't hit with runners in scoring position. We don't have no situational hitting. We have no damn approach. We look at strikes. We swing at balls. We watch fastballs. We swing at sweepers. You have a 2-0 count, and you're swinging at a fucking ball 3 inches outside the strike zone. Mark Vientos, like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
So everything is wrong with this team, unfortunately. Everything is wrong. There's nothing right except for the pitching.
And Jeremy Hefner is absolutely lighting up as the pitching coach of the Atlanta Braves, who have the best ERA in baseball, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Sounds about right. Chris, state of the Mets. We heard your story before and my story before, but give it to everybody.
Yeah, you know what? I think that there's a lot of this team is like an onion, right? There's a lot of layers of what's wrong with this team. There's not just one
Onion is the
layer.
perfect thing because we're all crying because of this fucking.
Yeah. No, what's wrong with this team is it's an onion, and there's multiple things wrong with this team, and it starts from the top bottom. And at this point, for me, the roster decisions, I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point during this stream. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the roster decisions that played out this offseason. Rob, you and myself, and I'm sure Hector and Eddie have also covered this in the offseason of the turnover of this roster, which is fine because I think that the collective opinion between Rob and myself was that, all right, Stearns wants to mold this team the way that he wanted to mold this team. Listen, you can take a look at McNeil and Nimmo, who are having great seasons. They didn't have good seasons in 2025. That's fine. But my problem is this. With this team through 40 games of the season in 2026 with this new look David Stearns roster, you are not approaching this with a sense of urgency. You're not. Because the way that this roster is constructed, they unfortunately have expectations, and I personally will get into the expectations of this team because I think the expectations of this team would look a lot different if they had not signed Juan Soto. I'm not saying Juan Soto signing was a bad thing for this team, but I'm talking about the expectations of this overall roster outside of Juan Soto would have looked a lot different prior to the signing versus where we're at now. But let's just stick to what's going on right now, right? You have Austin Slater continuously making his way into the lineup. I don't care who makes the lineups. This has been a conversation between Rob and myself for quite some time. I don't care if it's Kai Correa. At this point, all we know is that Carlos Mendoza is making these lineups. I don't care if Kai Correa has input. I don't care if it's the analytical department. I don't care if it's David Stearns. If you are Steve Cohen and you are paying top dollar for this roster to be 15-25 through the first 40 games of the season, and you see Austin Slater headlining your lineup in game 40 as your 3-hitter, you ought to go to the nearest restroom and throw up because that is egregious. That is absolutely pitiful. And this rotation, like Hector said, and like Eddie said, is what it is. This rotation, honestly, for the most part, has been doing its job. Albeit Kodai Senga shat the bed. He shat the bed. David Peterson has not been good. Sean Manaea, he had loose bodies in the elbow, decided to forego the surgery. Whatever. He's throwing 88 miles per hour. Nothing we can do. Nolan McLean has been a freaking stud. Clay Holmes has been a freaking stud for this team over their first handful of starts. Freddie Peralta, newest addition. Has he been an ace? Probably not. Nolan McLean is the ace of this team, and that's the way that it is right now. But he's pitching to the tune of a 3.12 ERA. He's not going 6 innings. I get it. He's going 5 innings. But the pitching has been serviceable. It's been serviceable. The problem is that this organization continues to look at this 15-25 record and continues to just say, oh, well, let's put Andy Ibanez in the lineup. Let's put Austin Slater in the lineup. Let's put Tyrone Taylor in the lineup. And the biggest thing of what I will say is this. You've got Carson Bench, who maybe has not performed up to expectations over the first maybe month of the season. I get it. He's a rookie, whatever. But he actually, over the past handful of games, has performed pretty well. This is a rookie. This is a guy that we've all been excited about. But you're still playing matchups. You're still not allowing him to go lefty on lefty because Austin Slater, who, as Hector said, is a former DFA candidate from the Marlins. You look at his career OPS versus lefties, right? He's a lefty guru. Carlos Mendoza is saying he's in this lineup because he can hit lefties. He's got a 774 OPS career versus lefties, man. It's not spectacular. It's not tremendous. And it's sure as hell not going to make me want to stunt the growth of a rookie that happens to be a lefty and not allowing him to go lefty on lefty. And I think that this organization over the past few seasons has stunted the growth of a lot of youthful talent. Now, with that being said, a lot of youthful talent still has not materialized and has not played to what they should be playing to. Brett Baty, everybody told us that he is an untradeable candidate this past offseason. Is he playing like an untradeable candidate? Because Brett Baty is performing basically to what we know that Brett Baty is by and large. He's not great, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Vientos also is not playing to that expectation. So when we get back into the next offseason, I know we've got a lot of baseball to play until that point. Let's take a little bit of a slow go around when we talk about untradeable youthful talent, because Brett Baty, I'm sorry, he's not untradeable. Neither is Mark Vientos. Neither is Ronnie Mauricio. Francisco Alvarez, we can have a discussion about him. But there's a lot of problems with this organization right now, Rob. But I'm gonna end this spiel with this: the lack of urgency from this team needs to be studied, because this team is 15-25, and we continue to see Austin Slater in this lineup. We continue to see the matchups being played, and it is an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute debacle. And I know that Steve Cohen at this point is not looking to go ahead and make, I guess, David Stearns, put him on the hot seat. David Stearns, ultimately, we can assume, is controlling the job of Carlos Mendoza, whether he's actually employed by the New York Mets. But look what happened with the Phillies. They fired their manager. Do you want to know what happened with the Phillies over the past couple of weeks? They've been playing respectable baseball. My thing is this. And I don't think Carlos Mendoza is the right guy for the job. I don't think it's necessarily Carlos Mendoza's fault. I will caveat that with this, but I don't think he's the right guy for the job because he plays it by the book. And when you have a team struggling to this caliber, there's a box, right? You either are managing within the box with the analytical department and what they're telling you, or you can manage, outside of the box, and you can make adjustments. Carlos Mendoza is not making those adjustments. He's not managing outside of the box. Whether he's afraid to manage outside of the box because of maybe David Stearns and the analytical department pressure is another conversation. But I would have to assume right now, until we hear otherwise from reporters, that Mendoza is leading this ship. And all in all, the demeanor of Carlos Mendoza, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the way that he gives these post-game press conference answers. They're the right answers, I guess. You don't want to throw anyone under the bus. I don't think, this is my last statement, I don't think Carlos Mendoza has the demeanor. I don't think he has the fire. And I don't think that he has the ability to actually light a fire under this clubhouse. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
This team needs a lot of changes.
Yeah. And the piggyback off of the Mendoza talk that you were just bringing up, because the 15-25 record and how bad they are, and there's no consequences for those results, is my biggest problem. Like, I don't care if you like Mendoza, you think he's doing a good job, bad job, it's not his fault, doesn't matter. There has to be consequences for results like this for nearly a $400 million payroll. It just has to be. It just has to be. That's what I just don't understand. And when you don't fire your manager, because you're not firing the coaches, right? You just brought him in. You're not firing the coaches, right? You got Mr. Glasses and Kai Correa that, just looks like, please, he just looks like he just looks like a head that's sticking out. Like, he's he's managing the team. I truly believe this 100% that he's managing the team.
That's even
Mendoza's looking
scarier
over
than
his
Rob.
shoulders. Huh?
That's even scarier. That's even scarier because
But
people
I'm
were
not
saying how he was
surprised.
brought in here to
Correct.
possibly push Mendoza out, right?
Yep.
And if he's the
Correct.
one that's actually running the team now and got us off to this start, oh boy,
But
that's
that's
why
the problem, though.
I
Heck.
agree. Mendoza probably needs to be fired. But if that's the replacement, oh my God, I'm not in a
Well,
hurry.
that's the problem, Mac. That's what I like. This is why Mendoza should have been fired when the coaches were fired, because you're making your manager being a lame duck manager. He's looking over his shoulder, knowing that Kai Correa wants his job. How do you have a good like relationship with a guy like that? I don't care what you talk to him in front of your face. You don't think he's in the back room talking to Willard or even Stearns for that matter, and saying you know what, let Mendoza beat the Shield. All the problems are going to him anyway. Let him talk to the media. Stearns, don't fire him because it's all going to come to you now. That's what he is. He's going to be the scapegoat for the debacle of this season. And that's what's going to happen. That's why they didn't fire him, because David Stearns don't want all the strings and arrows going at him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Once he fires Carlos Mendoza, all eyes on him.
And,
you know what I'm saying?
When Cohen said he wants to be the East Coast Dodgers, can you count? You can count so many times how many injuries the Dodgers have had over the last 2 seasons with main guys, right? Where's Mookie Betts on that Dodger team right now, right? But they're still winning,
Right.
For last year, they weren't the best. Yeah, they find players to replace them that are actually good, and that's my problem. Like, how can you have a $400 million payroll? And you sit there and you're Cohen and you're like, David, I got to watch Slater and Ibanez when the Dodgers pull rabbits out of their asses every time somebody gets hurt and the guys perform. And maybe they're unknown names and some of them are known names, but they perform. And you can say whatever you want. Oh, they're in a better lineup. But you know what? They come up with people on base. It has nothing to do with who's behind them. They put the bat on the ball. They swing on a fastball, like Hector said. Right? They don't look at a fastball right down the middle on a 3-1 count. Like when you're in a favorable count, swing the bat. I'd rather you swing the bat and pop it up than look at a 3-1 fastball and then on a 3-2 pitch that's 4 feet outside the plate and you swing at it for strike 3.
They're up there doing math equations and trying to do damage. That's what it is. That's what you see every game. All this high exit velo and all of this garbage because they're trying to find a perfect pitch to do damage. And when you play like that, it just doesn't work. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. Sometimes you need to just get lucky, man, and hit the ball off the end of the bat and it just drops in, and you score 2 runs. Sometimes that needs to happen. But I want to do damage, and and listen, I do think Mark Vientos has had some of the worst luck that you can have. Like this dude is scorching the ball and it's just finding gloves. But at the end of the day, fuck, just give me a bloop then and give me a run in. You got a man second and third. I don't need you to scorch the ball out to left field. And we're all like, oh my God. Right. And he's done it where he's dumped it right in there. But the point is, they're up there doing math equations and trying to figure out, oh, it's 3-1. This guy, it's 65% of the time he might throw a sweeper, 30% of the time. Like what, what are we doing? You're ahead, look fastball, react to everything else, and crush this shit.
I think
what is the answer here? Like what are we gonna do? Like really?
Put all that bullshit away.
Because it's come to the point now where you don't even have decent guys that you're bringing up here, right? We realize our guys that are down in the minor league, these players that we have, they stink, they suck. All right, Tommy Pham that we brought in, we had to DFA him. All right, these other guys will not be far behind them. But if you're gonna keep this up, and then you're gonna fire the manager, you need to bring in players. You need to bring in hitters. You can't keep doing this day in and day out, especially when you're not pitching that bad.
But
what is the answer?
Like they brought in hitters, right? They brought in the great Bo Bichette with all these great numbers and scoring position and all that, and we've seen none of it.
Yeah. But Hector, that's also a great point within itself, as it relates to what Eddie is saying. Is just like we bring in these players. We've brought in these players who Polanco is coming off of a career year. Yeah, injury aside, but he still stunk it up. Honestly, before he got injured.
Mhm.
And Bo Bichette is the primary example of a guy that was one of the, Rob and I talked about this all the time, one of the best hitters in all of baseball with runners in scoring position last season. You bring him in to try to fix a lineup that stunk with runners in scoring position because of McNeil, because of Nimmo, because of Pete Alonso. Those guys aren't here. And Bo Bichette now also stinks. I feel like it's not
the process. The process sucks, Chris. Like they keep telling us how they working hard, they're going through the process, but sometimes you need to step back and say, wait a minute. We may be working hard. I've said this before. I've given this example before. You see this desk table, whatever the hell it's called, that I have my stuff on. When I bought this and I was building it, there was a portion of it that I couldn't get it. It wasn't. I'm trying to screw it, and it wasn't working. And I was working hard, guys. I was sweating, working hard, and I thought I was doing it right. And then I stepped back and I said, oh, shit. You got to flip it around. You have it lined up the wrong way, you idiot, right? So it didn't matter how hard I was working because the process and the work I was putting in was wrong.
Right.
And that's the problem. We talk about this coaching staff, right? Both of you guys mentioned the coaching staff. Who there has the experience to say, hey, we need to try something different? Who there has the guts to say, we need to try something different? Something simple like maybe, you know what? Enough of this bullshit where we take batting practice inside in the cages underneath, where we now in Citi Field. I don't know if you guys ever been there, right? Whatever the hell they want to call it, the Delta Club, Clover Club, but that club where you're able to go in there and you're able to see both batting cages through glass. Well, the Mets now covered it in black, guys. You can't see down there no more.
Really?
Yes, that's what they did. Like 2 weeks into the season, it must have happened. It was open for opening day, right? But you see them taking batting practice down there, and what do? Every swing, there's a screen behind them, and it's telling them all kinds of garbage.
Yeah.
How about you go out on the field and you get a feel for the elements? You notice the road teams come in and they hit better in Citi Field than the Mets do?
Hector.
Because they take batting practice on the field, and it's, oh, the wind is blowing this with it. It might sound silly, but just let's try something different. But who there has the experience for that? Who has the guts on this coaching staff? They all come from the same cloth. They all follow the analytics.
Yep.
We've got breaking news, by the way, gentlemen.
Ooh.
We've got breaking news.
What do we got?
The New York Mets are calling up top prospect AJ Ewing to the
Oh.
Major League roster.
All right. They must have been watching the show. They must have been watching the show. All right.
Listen, I will say this, Hector, I definitely do agree with you. And by the way, congratulations to AJ Ewing. I also will say this too, in lieu of this breaking news. This is a desperation move. This is a desperation move. Come on, let's be real.
They've all been desperation moves, but hey, this is a good one though.
This is a good desperation move, but this is what I'm saying though. As it relates to what you said, Hector, and my prime example is Bo Bichette. The process is the process. This guy just came over from the Toronto Blue Jays, and I want to focus in on Bo Bichette. How, in a span of not even half a year, how do you go from being one of the best hitters with runners in scoring position to basically being a potato in the lineup in the same situation? That's just unfathomable. That's just unfathomable to me, honestly. Because I don't think that the new hitting coaches in the span of half a year are able to do that to a guy that's been doing this for quite some time now in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a philosophical thing. But when a guy that comes in here that has that much success, especially in that situation, that's just maybe it's bad luck. I don't know. Anyways, back to the point.
No, CP. This is why, I've always hated the thought, and whenever anybody brought it up to me, I would dismiss it. Right? And is a team cursed? Oh, it's the colors. The Knicks and the Mets need to change their colors. All of that nonsense. It makes me sick. It's like, no, get the hell out of here with that garbage. But this season, I'm starting to think like, are we really cursed, bro? Exactly because of what you said. Like, how can guys come in here and we completely ruin them immediately? Like,
exactly.
No, I'm Bo Bichette. Like, nah, that doesn't work for me, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what you do here, but this is how I do things. And you learn from the players. Learn from your players as well. Adjust with them, which they talk about like supposedly they do, but it doesn't make sense, bro. It really doesn't make sense.
Just real quick on AJ Ewing, it's not really a panic move. The guy's hitting 349, 481 on base percentage, over 1,000 OPS. He's earned it. He's earned it. So, I mean, I know we need more than AJ Ewing, but if we could put him in, I think he's going to be the center fielder, right?
Yeah.
We put him in there, maybe we get something because we are getting nothing right now. So I'm happy they did this.
Can we talk about this real quick and what this means? Because this is, I don't know if anybody realizes this, is that this is a very big precursor to what could happen at the trade deadline for this team. I'm not really sure if anybody saw what the SNY Mets account, this was just analysts talking and analysts just, I guess, bantering, I guess. But I've always said this, Rob, that offensively, besides a guy like AJ Ewing, maybe Ryan Clifford, and that's really it. That's the really only offensive upgrades that you can rely on in this farm system that might be ready this season. We'll see what happens with AJ Ewing and Carson Bench. Even still, like he's been up, he's been down. We're starting to see flashes, but offensively, especially with AJ Ewing here now, this is what we got, and this is what we're going to continue to have. I just can't see. There was like some sort of story about upgrading another veteran bat. Someone said Trevor Story. Come, let's be real here.
Damn break. I saw
this,
that.
and that's what I said too.
But who else are in those names? Because we should talk about them.
Well, I saw Trevor Story first, and I haven't seen too many other names outside of that, but I want to talk about the Trevor Story thing too. And that's what my reaction was to. Heck, give me a damn break. But what bat, Eddie, if you want to continue this conversation on, because I think this is important, what bat beyond a guy like Trevor Story is really going to make an impactful difference in this lineup that is, at this point, a lineup bunch of losers?
Murakami?
I mean, look, anything is better than what you have out there now, right? Like you say Trevor Story, it's better than half these guys in our lineup. Sure. And I have to think that even though we're killing Bichette, we're killing Soto, we're killing all our regulars, and I get it, they've underperformed. But if you put some other guys around them that could actually put the ball in play, could hit a few home runs, because that was one of the things we wanted to hit more home runs, wanted to hit runners in scoring position.
Warning track power is what this team has.
Exactly. We're doing none of that. Yeah. So I am open to anybody. I read Duran, his name a couple of days ago. I read Tyler O'Neill, another bad contract a couple of days ago. Again, anything is better than what you're having out here now. The Brett Beatties, how many guys are we going to have in here that are just automatic outs? And it's day in and day out. Yeah. When you score one run a game, it's pathetic. How about the game in Arizona? I think we were down 2-1, and Vientos hit a long fly ball, almost hit a home run, but it was caught at the warning track. And that's our whole team. We're like warning track power. That's it. We have to do better. We have to bring some people that can actually hit the fucking ball. Put the ball in play. Come on.
But what's a panic move to you, Eddie, though? Because do you believe in this team? Do you actually believe in bringing an actual capable hitter and spending assets on this lineup with the way this team looks like right now?
I mean, if you get a guy that's maybe signed for a few years that you could build around and you feel comfortable, we all feel like, hey, listen, this guy's a piece. This guy's he's going to be a great right fielder, whatever he is, maybe even third baseman, right? And he's decent and you're not giving up whatever. But if you could build around this guy, I say do it. I say do it because we're 10 games under 500. But when you look at the National League, it sucks. It sucks. And if we get back to 500, you're not that far off. Now, yes, you guys mentioned the pitching before, and I get it. We have a lot of problems with Kodai Senga, with Peterson. We don't know what the hell to do. even with Manaea, and that's all fair. But there's other guys that are other pitchers are pretty good. We're not. I'm just saying we are not that far off. I really don't think we are.
Well,
now,
what's funny?
Moves, you have to.
You know what's funny, Eddie? When it comes to me and Chris talked about this on a couple of shows ago. I forgot when it was, but we talked about it, right? This is the first time David Stearns in 3 years has put all of his touch on a team, right? This is the first time this was his baby now.
Yeah.
We talked about it. When is he going to be desperate to start making moves like bringing up AJ Ewan or maybe making a trade that we're not even looking at?
It starts today, Rob. He's desperate. He's desperate.
Is it because look, I always think he half-assed deadlines, in my opinion, the last 2 years, right? When your team's building, like in 2024, you try to get better in every spot possible. Don't half-ass the deadline and then say, oh, I don't know what happened. Well, you know what happened. You half-assed the deadline and you wonder why things didn't work out. Like last year, what did we need? We needed a top-line starter.
Yes.
Last year, that's what we needed, right? You knew you weren't bringing up Nolan McLean. We didn't know this, but you knew you weren't bringing him up because of service time. You knew this. So go out there, and everyone's like, oh, well, Sandy Alcantara didn't get traded from the Marlins. Yeah, because they didn't hear the offer they wanted. How about surprising them with, I don't know, Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams when you traded them in the offseason anyway?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's things like that pisses me off about David Stearns. And now, because this is his team that he put his hands on, basically 100%, all of a sudden he's desperate. You know what? I kind of like it because, they're showing a pulse. But at the same time, yes, it's only May 11th, but doesn't it seem like it's a little too late again? Because that's what David Stearns, in my opinion, I feel like he's like always comes up a little short in situations like this. Always. Like, he always does things a little too late. Like, Nolan McLean should have been up here in June when Kodai Senga get hurt, not in August. But you waited, and you still didn't do nothing at the deadline, and you waited a month and a half to make a move, and those month and a half, you could have had 3 or 4 wins more, and you would have easily made the playoffs instead of waiting until game 162 like last year. So it's a panic move, in my opinion.
Can I say just one thing? And I want to start this conversation around the way that we move forward, because we started this conversation last season with Jonah Tong. We started with Brandon Sproat, who's now traded away. We started with Nolan McLean. This team right now, Eddie, I might disagree with you just a little bit. I don't know if this team is one move away. I don't know.
I'm not saying one move.
Wait, okay, I'm not sure if they're even 2 moves away. I think that this team has a lot wrong with them, objectively. Do we think that David Stearns, the expectations of Juan Soto in the signing, I want to bring this up, right? The expectations ultimately shifted. New York's a big market. The Mets, at this point, under Steve Cohen, are a big market. They've got a good farm system. Do we think that this team is maybe not? They're obviously trying to compete this season, but and maybe not, Hector. That's what I wanted to also get at. Maybe they weren't really trying to compete this season. This is what I brought to everybody in this offseason. This was
so did I, Chris. And people wanted to kill me, bro.
This is the and we agree, Hector. This was the statement that I was trying to make. There was a significant, maybe even borderline obvious plan that maybe Hector and I saw that David Stearns was trying to bring forth. Maybe try to half-ass a competing team in the short term by bringing on the short-term contracts and Bo Bichette and his opt-outs and Devin Williams in a 3-year deal and Clay Holmes even back when that you can now trade, by the way, because Clay Holmes is also another name if this team doesn't turn it together that is going to be traded. Maybe this team is really just a facade. Maybe they are half-assing the let's compete in 2026 while trying to bring up and trying to get these prospects in line to develop in 2026 to maybe go ahead and compete in maybe not 2027 because we might not have a season, but maybe 2028.
I really contend, Chris.
I really contend. I'm going to say this about David Stearns, and I said this in this offseason, and people said that I was crazy because people said that he brought in Bo Bichette, he brought in Devin Williams, he brought in Jorge Polanco, and that you don't bring those guys in if you're not trying to compete in 2026.
Yeah, what's compete?
David Stearns brought those guys in on short-term deals because, in my humble opinion, he said wherever the Mets end up in 2026, that might be great. But he is actually thinking more about the long game. That's why you see Carson Bench here. That's why you see AJ Ewing here now. That's why you'll see Joni Tong here very shortly. This team was not really meant to compete in 2026. I'm sorry. That's my opinion.
That's why, real quick, Eddie, that's why, Chris, when people talk about, oh, is David Stearns' job on the line, and will David, like, this has to like completely fall apart. And even still, I always say, if they feel like their overall plan is working right and everything else that I don't really care about, and the farm system now being ranked in the top 5 or wherever the hell it is, because I don't even hear about the farm system anymore. Right, that was a talk for like 2 years. The farm. Oh, we're number 14. I don't hear those other things anymore. I don't think people care anymore. They finally care about what I care about, and it's what's going on the damn field for the major league team. But I've been saying, if their plan was we're going to compete, which is very, very vague, very open, right? What does compete really mean in 2026? But their intention is to contend in 2027, or dare we say 2028 and beyond, then why would you fire the guy if you feel like you're making progress towards that goal? While, yeah, short term, we're trying to compete. Yeah.
That's why David Stearns' job is safe, in my humble opinion.
One of the words I heard coming into the season was that this was a possible stealth rebuild. Did you hear? Have you heard that term?
Yeah, well,
it was called a stealth rebuild, right? That's right. But I'm just going to say this. Let me ask all you guys. I had them winning 88 games. I thought they'd be a wild card team. How many wins did you guys have them at?
Don't make me answer that.
I would say I had 94, but I think that this roster.
I drank the Kool-Aid. I had 97.
Well, but let's be real. The reason why we had all the high win totals is because this team, even still with the short-term contracts, should be competing in the 90s for wins.
Sure.
But that doesn't necessarily mean.
Something you said before. Guys, even the games that we've pitched bad, we've pitched well enough to win.
Correct.
There's only been maybe 2 games, where you can say, you know what, like, there's no way you're gonna win this game. Like,
heck,
8 runs in 2 innings. We're not gonna. But besides that, like, even the Senga's bats, we should have won. It's like 4 runs in 5 innings or some shit like that. You should be able to win that game with this supposed high-powered offense, better offense that we were supposed to have.
Well, look, everybody's hurt now too. Remember opening day? If we all remember opening day, that offense looked pretty good.
Let's be honest about opening day, Eddie. Let's be honest about opening day.
Can I say something?
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. The drop fly balls. I got that. I'm just saying, we did look pretty good when we were.
Can I say something real quick? The chat is going off about our win predictions, maybe even especially mine. The reason why is that I thought that this was still going to be a quote unquote, like you said, Hector, silent rebuild. And I gave this team 94 wins is because, one, they really should be on pace for 94 wins if the offense was actually competent and didn't have their heads up their asses, because the pitching has been pitching, to be honest, with that attitude. And 2 is that no matter how many games you win, no matter how far you go this season, you can still have a new look roster next season with the short-term contracts that the Mets gave out. 2024, we made the NLCS. We shouldn't have been there. Does anybody think that the 2024 Mets should have been in the NLCS? No. This team could have made the NLCS this year. They're not going to do it. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They're not going to do it. But they could have done it, and you still have short-term contracts that you're not tied to and guys that wouldn't be here next year, and you'd have a completely different season. That's what I'm saying is that just because you overachieve or you achieve up to expectations, quote unquote, in a season does not matter, because the New York Mets core is gone now, the old core, and the new core is only half here in the mind of David Stern.
I was gonna say, what is the new core? Is there really a core? Like, that's another thing.
It's
these
only
guys,
half here.
they're not. Like, what are these guys really playing for? They're not Mets. These guys aren't Mets yet. I don't even know if Soto really considers himself a Met yet, right? We saw how long it took Lindor before he finally felt comfortable, right? He was always talking the game, but he really wasn't a Met. It took him maybe almost 2 years before he finally got comfortable. Maybe even till Buck got here for Lindor to get comfortable. Now we got these mercenaries, right? There's that word, but that's really what these guys are. That are just passing through, playing for other contracts. But if we could come together and win here, it'd be nice.
But heck, you know what? You know what the issue is, right? The Dodgers have mercenaries. It's all across their roster is mercenaries. I can, with the whole, like, is this team like, the core, and I always talk about the emotional attachment.
Dodgers have built a core now for a few years, though, right?
Sure, but they were born at different times. You know what I'm saying? They were born
Dodgers, man.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? You know what it is? It's the right players. That's the difference. That's the difference. It's I don't care who
There's
you
no
are.
commitment to those players, though, Rob. They're not coming in just passing through. All those guys have pretty long-term deals, right? Mookie has a nice deal. Showing he got a nice deal. Freddie Freeman got himself a nice deal.
Sure, but that's the Mets and their philosophy now of not giving long-term deals. That's the biggest problem, right? Find me a team that gives a ton of short-term deals and constantly wins and constantly makes the playoffs. It's not there.
I don't think that David Stearns wants to give long-term deals right now because he has not built up the core because the prospects.
I agree with CP 100% on that.
All the prospects that he wants is not here.
I agree with CP 100%. Like, he's not ready. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he was ready to go all in like we wanted him to go all in. We're like, oh, we just meant to NLCS in 2024. And like Cindy said, and I know not Joe said it almost confused me. And shout out to the chat, man. The chat is great. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man.
Facts. Shout out to them.
Shout out.
Thanks for all your comments. But fucking, I lost my train of thought.
When you look at the wild card, okay, the wild card right now, the Dodgers are in the number 1 spot, followed by Milwaukee, St. Louis. Okay, so those are the three wild card teams, and then after that, you have Pittsburgh and Cincinnati as the only teams that are over 500 in the wild card hunt. And then the Mets, we're dead last in MLB with our record, only 8 games behind us. What? That's what I'm saying.
Only
You're saying there's a chance.
A million teams. We have to jump a
there's
million
a chance.
But if you bought in a few hitter, we might not be that far away.
So you say keep on watching. Then we have
I say yes. What we're watching is awful. But you have to bring in some culture changers. You have to bring in the guys that can change this culture. And they're out there. They're out there to be had. Just got to make the right moves, man. We're not
the first move should have been firing Carlos Mendoza when they were talking about it, or when everybody was talking about it.
He's the problem.
No, I agree. But it shows that there's a level of competency and there's consequences to these results, right? Again, why is it okay for the Phillies, who consistently make the playoffs, to fire Rob Thompson? And then everything's okay.
22, the Phillies are.
Say that again?
19-22, Phillies record.
Sure, but they were just where the Mets were, about a week and a half ago?
And they were. They're 7-3 in their last 10, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I say, it's not about.
But I mean, to be fair,
was Rob Thompson a problem, or they just needed a new voice, right? Sometimes you just need that. We watch sports across all different professional levels, right? And you see sometimes you just need a change of voice from a manager or a coach, right? Maybe it's just that. Like, not saying that they don't want to play for Mendoza or anything like that. These guys just got here with Mendoza. How can you hate the guy? But the fact that there's no consequences to any of these actions or any of these results is, I think, the main problem. It's like David Stearns, you can call up the prospect and look, I'm sick and tired of prospects. I think this organization has done a terrible job in developing position players in our farm system, right? I'm not blaming AJ Ewing. I'm not blaming Carson Bench, but David Stearns revamped the developmental staff when he came into the farm system. And yet these guys still don't perform to the levels, or at least close to the levels that they were supposed to. And it's a big reason why the Mets are in this hole right now, because Alvarez, top prospect in all of baseball a few years back, he's probably a backup catcher next year, right? Mark Vientos is positionless. He might be off his team. Brett Beatty is bad. Like, that's the problem with this organization, is that we can talk about these prospects all we want, but the development of these guys never perform at the level that they should, and it puts this team back. And now they have to make deals with other players outside these mercenaries, as Hector called them.
Can we be honest real quick as well, Rob? And Hector, you and I agree about the prospects. I think that with the direction of this team, right? In what you said, Rob, the development factor is also not helping these guys out at the major league level when they get here by designating them as platoon players.
Right. I was just going to say,
if AJ Ewing is coming up here and being a platoon player, what the fuck are we doing?
You don't think that's gonna happen?
I think he's going to be the center fielder, CP.
No, I agree. But like, if Carson Bench, we've already seen it this season, and this is what Rob is talking about, hindering the prospects' developments. If this has been the plan all along, why are we designating Carson Bench to be a righty-only starter? That is egregious. And if you're bringing AJ Ewing up here to be a platoon player and not giving him everyday reps, because I can guarantee you AJ Ewing is probably going to be better than 3, 4, maybe even of your starting top 9. I guarantee you, no matter what he does. Well, and I'd rather see AJ Ewing, no matter what he does, than 3 of the 4 of your top 9. Stop limiting these guys at the major league level.
Yep.
I agree 100%. I got to be honest. I actually was going to go back to that, right? Because I did want to say, I wasn't excited about bringing up more young guys up here when we're watching young guys struggle, right? And I do have a question for you guys. And that is, as I make my point as well, though, how much do we put Brett Beatty, Alvarez, and Vientos' development on David Stearns when they predate him? But now he's been here a couple of years, right? And the way he's handled them maybe has or hasn't helped. I felt in the offseason that you needed to trade 2 of the 4 of Mauricio, Vientos, Beatty, and who's the other fuckeroo? And the one that they traded, Acuna.
We said that the whole time. Heck.
I felt like they needed to trade 2. I felt like they needed to trade 2, at least 2 of those guys, right? They only traded 1. But okay, we're gonna call up AJ Ewing. I'm not one to want to rush these guys, you know what I'm saying? But I do want to say, let's not now act like this kid needs to be the savior. You know what I'm saying? Because even with Carson Bench, I was like, okay, you want to give him the opening day job?
Play him.
I can't in 25 at bats, 30 at bats say, oh, he's no good, send him down. That's not fair.
Well,
right? Let's give him at least 200 at bats. I think we've seen that he's getting better, right?
The issue is, and Chris was talking about it too, right? We got AJ Ewing, who's another lefty, right? Is Benjen Ewing going to sit when there's a lefty pitcher? Because that has been happening with Ben.
That can't happen anymore.
Is he exclusively another lefty?
Yeah.
No, I agree. They need to play every day. I'm gonna tell you something right now.
They don't sit him in the minors when there's a lefty on the
mound. Let me tell you something right now. Let me give Carson Bench props. I'm sorry, Rob. Let me give Carson Bench some props because I was actually upset and how they handled him, right? Because first, let's not forget, early in the year, they brought him in, they sat him, and they brought him in to pinch hit against a lefty late in the game, a good like lefty specialist, which makes no sense to me. If you want to test the guy, if you want to see if he can handle it, then you let him start against the lefty so he gets a couple of at bats. You don't bring him in into a tight game where you need him to get a hit and he has all that pressure, and then he's batting against the lefty, right?
Yeah.
And then I felt like you should have started him against Quintana, and you didn't. Like, what the hell are we doing? So when they started him against Rodriguez yesterday, who's supposedly better than Quintana at this point in their careers, I'm like, that's the wrong thing to do. But he handled himself well. I think he ended up getting 2 hits off of Rodriguez. So shout out to Carson Bench. But I'm with you guys. These guys need to play every day. I hate the platoon shit. I hate that Austin Slater here to hit righties just as much as I hated the Daniel Vogelback and Darren Ruff platoon. I hate that crap because when you depend on those splits, you're asking these guys to almost be perfect. And when they're not, you get what we're having right now, right? They gotta almost be perfect. They gotta almost produce. And then you're talking about, like CP said earlier, you're bringing in guys. Dude, when he said Ocean Slater's here to hit righties, when he and listen, it's from Melendez, but still, when he pitched it from Melendez, and I went and I looked at the numbers, I said, "What?
Yeah.
This is the guy that you have to absolutely bring in." And then every time a lefty starts, these guys have to like, why? Why? They're not even average.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And then let's not forget where we got him from. That's why it makes me sick. David Peterson, don't tell me you have confidence in all these guys. You don't even know these guys. You don't know these dudes. You weren't in spring training with Austin Slater and whatever the fuck the other guy's name is, Ibanez. You don't know these dudes. Oh, I have faith in these guys. I trust everybody in this clubhouse. Bullshit. These guys are borderline major leaguers.
Yeah.
You just got them off the waiver wire, man. Who are we kidding here?
My question to you guys is, what is the timetable on our starters? On Polanco, on Lindor, on Robert? Like, what's going on with them? Because we don't seem to be getting a clear-cut answer.
I don't even
It's a 10-day IL, but like it's been a long time now. So do we have an answer on that? Because it starts with getting those 3 guys back. Am I crazy for saying that?
Sure, but I don't even think they know, to be quite honest with you, because they've been terrible with this stuff this year. Like, they have no idea. Like, I mean, all of a sudden, everybody has a spine issue. Everybody has it's like, it's everything. It's like, I don't know if it's the medical staff. I don't know if it's just they don't want to say what is really going on with these guys. Like, they're afraid to. Like, we already sucked, right? Polanco's, update injury status is not going to hurt our feelings anymore. But we need to know this stuff. That's the problem. They've done a bad job with this. And not knowing what's wrong, what's going on with Polanco. We know Lindor is going to be out a while, but like with Robert, same thing. It's like, are these guys even walking to the stadium? Are they driving? Like, what are they doing? Because if they're not doing anything, then they're not healing. If you're just sitting around getting treatment and you're still not getting healed, then put these guys on a 60-day.
Bro, Polanco's got a wrist contusion. That's it. Like, it's not a broken bone. It's a contusion. That's
what I think he was in Arizona. Does he live out there? Maybe he lives out there, right? Like, I would find it odd that he was out there. Like, he's not even close. It's not like he was close and they might activate him.
I don't know.
Can we be real though? Like, bringing Polanco in, he's coming off of a career year. He's been an okay major leaguer before that. You give him a 2-year deal. What was that?
In 2024, he sucked. Last year, he was excellent.
That's what I'm saying. He's coming off of a career year, so it's just like, I just think it further backs the point of what Hector and I are trying to say is that there's just intermediary short-term deals. Let's not commit to anything long-term. Let's get these prospects up sooner rather than later. Maybe they know. Maybe they want to figure out that there's a I guess a lockout coming next season, and that they just don't want. This doesn't really matter at this point, but
that matters.
Of course it matters. But
good point.
I just don't think that there was ever any intention, personally speaking, with the contracts that they gave out that they were going to actually compete for a World Series this season. I'm sorry.
But we were in position in the beginning of the year to at least contend for a wild card. Had everybody stayed healthy and played to their numbers,
Right.
we would
That
be
was
in
the
right
idea.
now. We would probably be maybe 3 games over 500, something like that. I'm not saying anything crazy, but we'd probably be at the top of the wild card right now had everybody stayed healthy. But nobody has stayed healthy. And let's face it, some guys have gone off the rails. Peterson, Kodai, he's gone off the rails.
But we foresaw that coming, Eddie. Let's be real.
Another thing, too, we just signed Soto. Soto's got, after this year, Soto can fucking opt out in 3 years.
It might be
opt out.
It might be a blessing if he does.
I wish he did.
It might be a blessing if he does.
I'm saying, though, like, you wouldn't sign Soto to all this money if you want to just suck. I truly think they thought they were going to be contenders this year.
No, not just suck. No, not contenders. They were going to try to compete, and if everything worked, right, if guys stayed healthy, and they played, here's those words, to the back of their baseball cards, then yes, you're right, Eddie. This team should be at least a wild card team. And hey, in 2026, all you have to do is get in, and anything can happen, right? And look at the Blue Jays. Nobody had the Blue Jays in the World Series last year. Look how. So that was the mentality.
Yeah, but that's a small market mentality. And that's why I don't like David Stearns.
The Dodgers expect to win a World Series. Right. The Yankees expect to contend for a World Series. They're probably the only ones. Everybody else hopes to compete.
Yeah, that's a small market mentality, though.
We'll get to a wild card, and then we'll see what happens.
Can we sit back and look and actually internalize this? That David Stearns, with the core that the Mets had last season, after signing Juan Soto, only gave it 1 year with Juan Soto. They missed out on the playoffs. The only guy that they needed to re-sign of the core was Pete Alonso. They could have kept Jeff McNeil. They could have kept Brandon Nimmo. But David Stearns had this predetermined notion that he was going to get rid of that core. I don't think that David Stearns really ever thought that this team, even with the 2025 roster, was ever going to materialize to anything. And honestly, signing Juan Soto was for the marketing strategy. It was. It really was. Unless Juan Soto opts in. Listen, we can have a conversation about Juan Soto opting in or opting out of the deal because he's may lose out on money if he opts out. I don't know.
Can we cancel it out by just kicking in an extra couple million? Can we just cancel out the opt out?
I think the Mets actually have control of whether that happens. Correct. Yes, you're right, Hector. But will the Mets do it? That's another conversation that needs to start happening. Will the Mets do it? Will David Stearns want to do it if he's still in charge?
I was going to say, if it's left to David Stearns, probably not.
Because, because what's the point? And what was the point? Listen, Juan Soto was let's be real. Juan Soto was probably the best thing to happen to this organization in quite some time. But if you really didn't believe in the guys around Juan Soto when you signed him, you gave Pete Alonso 1 year, which was one of his career years. He actually proved to you that he probably deserved the contract. You didn't give it to him, regardless of what's happening outside of that, because Pete Alonso's not really doing too hot on the Orioles. You got rid of Brandon Nimmo. You got rid of Jeff McNeil. They signed Juan Soto to a generational contract, already knowing most likely that no matter what happens, they are going to get rid of that core.
But maybe they had to get rid of that core. Maybe it had to go. I think it had to go. Listen, I'm not saying that we probably shouldn't have bought back. We probably should have bought back Alonso, but I would have preferred Kyle Schwarber, who we did go after. We did give an offer.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? He would have been great in our line.
But we can talk about, this could have been a transition year or stealth rebuild, whatever it might be. But his actions say otherwise because he went after Schwarber for a 4-year deal. I mean, you could say it's a short-term deal, but it was still a deal. It was still a long-term deal. A
lot of money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we went after Tucker. I mean, that was.
I think that some of those offers are smoke screen offers, man.
That was a smoke screen offer.
Make a deal. No, that he made an offer that he knew that Schwarber wasn't going to take.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know. They were in on Tucker. I think
he made an offer that he knew that he could get the same pretty much from the Phillies, and he knew that
leaving Philly.
Between Mets and Phillies, Schwarber was going to the Phillies. But I'm gonna make an offer so that when the Mets, when Hector, Chris, and Eddie and Rob do the round table, they could think that we made an offer to fucking Kyle Schwarber. Yeah, okay,
exactly.
You ain't fooling me, dude.
Exactly.
The only thing is just that I don't trust David Stearns. To be quite honest with you, I don't. I never did. Right? He's a losing GM. I'm sorry to say that. That's what he is. Right? Everybody gave him all the credit in the world for going deep into the playoffs once as a Brewers GM. Once, and they consistently lost early in the playoffs. And with David Stearns, he is a guy that doesn't change his philosophy, and maybe he will at some point. I don't know. Maybe because this is his team and this is his approach to doing what you, Chris, and Heck is saying in 2027 or 2028, whatever it might be. But the problem is, I don't see him changing his philosophy because listen, when you're in the season, your roster is what it is, right? When you're winning, like in 2025, you had the best record in baseball in late May and then going into somewhat June, so Kodai got hurt, right? And you don't do anything at the deadline to help your team continue that path of winning. How can I trust that guy to do anything right? That's my problem. Like, I don't care what you want to do in the offseason or at the trade or especially at the offseason. Because in the offseason, you can do a lot of things. But when your team is 3 months into the season, 4 months into the season, and you're a contender, you're supposed to make that team better. And you don't do it enough is the reason why I don't trust him. Because he half-asses deadlines. And how can I trust him to say, oh, in 2028, we're gonna win 100 games and be the best team in baseball and win the World Series? Like, how can I trust that?
The biggest move I think that should have signaled to fans, and I'm not even saying to put too much stock into what Brandon Nimmo's doing right now, but to save the last 2 years on Brandon Nimmo's deal should have signified a lot to this fan base, because you are bringing in a starter. Let's be honest, a washed-up starter in Marcus Semien. No matter how good he's been or how lousy he's been this season, you are bringing in 3 years worth of a contract. You are expending the last 2 years off the bottom 2 years of Brandon Nimmo's contract. And keep in mind, you just signed Juan Soto. And you're trying to play the contract situation by swapping starters. If Marcus Semien was not a starter on this team, that's fine, whatever. But he is a starter on this team. And that's the problem. It's the problem.
Run prevention.
MLB is so bad.
Prevention is what it's been.
Outside of 5 teams in Major League Baseball, if you look in the American League, the 3 wild card winners, 2 of them are under 500. That is how bad Major League Baseball is right now. It's pathetic. And look at the teams in front of us. Are you scared of Cincinnati?
We got Eddie. We have a chance. We believe you. There's a chance, Eddie. Listen. I'm
not one of those. And listen, I'm as pessimistic as it comes. You guys know me. I always think the ball's gonna drop, even with the Knicks. I'm just saying. But like, looking at this team, it can't be that fucking bad. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? We're like, if you bring in a couple of guys and you create some good chemistry, you tell me we can't get to 500? I'm not asking for much. Get the fucking 500.
You know what, though? I think it's better. Like, bringing in somebody from the outside that can provide a jolt, that works. That's great.
And somebody
let's be honest. Hear me out real quick. Hear me out. As much as I'm saying, let's not look at AJ Ewan as a savior. If he's able to come up here and have some success and provide a little spark, I think that goes even further than bringing somebody in from the outside. You know what I mean? Because, and especially for us, the fans, and even the team, like, oh, he's a kid coming from, like, you need that youthful exuberance sometimes. So he's going to come up, him now and Benj, both young. They could play off each other, and hopefully that ignites a fire to these old farts that are just going through the motions. You know what I'm saying? But also the fans. The fans are now okay. We're not only making a run here, but we have something to look forward to with both of these guys. So I think that could mean a little bit more than just bringing somebody from the outside. But listen,
You know,
let's
you know,
have him have success, and let's bring somebody from the outside.
well, like
Boost this fucking
does
team.
this? I mean, not record wise, but does this offense remind you of 2015's lineup?
Yes,
Where they were
yes,
so bad,
yes.
and what did they do? They brought up
That's a
Michael
good point.
Conforto, right? And
Yeah.
that was right, what, a couple of weeks before the deadline, and
Yeah, that
obviously
kind
they
of
got
was one of the
suspended
first
and all
things.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying AJ Ewan is going to be Michael Conforto. Michael Conforto wasn't great, but they tried to do something, right? Sandy Olsen
Maybe
had
two small moves.
2015 though. That's not a lie.
Two small moves.
To be
Maybe
good, but Conforto's call up that was great.
two small moves,
yeah,
right?
correct. And
What was it?
that's the
Kelly
thing, right?
Johnson and Uribe,
And
right?
Uribe, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yes. I'm not saying like that's going to be the case. I'm not saying Ewan's, Michael Conforto at that time, but at the same time, I mean, look at that lineup. You had Duda and Tejada. Like it was, I mean,
Terrible.
Like, my God, like it was terrible. A broken down David Wright, like it was bad. And and a move that kind of woke Sandy Alderson out of his coma for God knows how many years, and he brought up Conforto, and the pressure from obviously us, the fans, and the media, finally pushed that button to go get Cespedes at the deadline, and it was kind of like a chain reaction. And that team wasn't great, right? We talked about the 2024 team. That wasn't a very good team making the NLCS, right? It was a bunch of guys that weren't very good for 2.5 months, and they just figured it out for some reason. Right?
The staff was probably better.
Sure, of course, but the pitching's good right now, though. Like that's the thing.
Your top 3 is decent. Your 4 and 5 need work, and I think that's why I think Tobias Myers needs to be in this rotation. To be honest,
Chris, but 90% of baseball and the teams that are 85% of the teams that are in the playoff spot right now probably need a 4th or 5th starter. You know what I'm saying? So, look, we don't need a juggernaut.
American League, it's under 500.
Yeah. So it's like, again, it's obviously wishful thinking. And now AJ Ewan is up here. We'll see what he can do. I'm not saying he's going to be a spark, but it's kind of like lining up in that same, I guess, situation. Obviously, the record is much worse than what they were in 2015. But again, with the National League being so bad, the Mets aren't dead, mathematically. Hope.
And at least he's tearing it up. At least he earned his promotion. Right? He's not brought up here out of desperation. The guy's got almost a 500 on base percentage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, we'll see. Like I said, look, we're an hour and 20 minutes in, right? The first episode of the Queen's Faithful Roundtable, right? We got into all of it, right? I mean, the next time we do this next week, sometime, whenever that might be, we'll get together and talk about that. Hopefully the Mets are playing better. Maybe they have a good homestand. Maybe the Yankee series wakes this team up a little bit. I know that's crazy to say, but maybe they need something to get that blood boiling a little bit, and maybe it takes the Subway Series to wake them the fuck up, because something needs to wake them up. I mean,
I actually told Sal this morning they'll probably win that series the way things are going. That's a series they'll probably win. They'll probably fucking sweep the Yankees.
Of course. So, all right, guys. So again, everybody in the chat, it's over 1,000 on all platforms right now. So obviously it's a hit for episode 1. Everybody wants to check it out. Hopefully you liked it. If you're on X right now, head over to the channels, hit that subscribe button, guys. Hit that like button as well. Again, we're going to do this hopefully every week, depending on our schedules and when the Mets have days off or day games at the end of the week. We'll definitely get that continue to go with this roundtable. But listen, any final thoughts from anybody before we call it a night?
Just fucking let's start winning games, man. Please just win some games and give us some hope. Give us some hope. Play like you care. Play like you want to fucking win a game. Go out and blow somebody out for once. Not these 1-0 wins. Let's go out there and kick somebody's ass. But with this lineup, we're not going to. So with that said, make a fucking move. How about that, David Stearns?
That's what my final thoughts were going to be. Make a move. Fire Carlos Mendoza. Fire Carlos Mendoza. Because I don't care if he's the root problem of this or not. I think the team might just respond in a positive manner by ousting the guy that they probably throw under the bus with their lack of performance. And other than that, I not to be the bearer of bad news, I would just say this: I don't expect much change because I don't see a sense of urgency from this manager. I don't see a sense of urgency from this front office. And until they start making lineups that indicate otherwise, then we will see the same thing. But I'm hoping that's not the case. Anyways, see you all for episode 2.
I'll just say a couple of things. First, let's hope that Bichette is not Jason Bay, as someone just said there, because that would be terrible. But I've been saying this in the pregame spaces that I do. I said it in the last Blunt Thoughts episode that I did. I didn't do one this week yet. Listen, this team dug themselves into a humongous hole. And the bad part is it only took 34 games. Right at that point, when I started thinking like this, it took 34 games for this team to dig a hole where they were over 10 games under 500, 11 games out of the division, whatever the hell it is. You guys know all the numbers. If they're going to climb out of it, and Eddie gave you all the numbers and all the reasons to believe that they're not that far. But if they're going to climb out of it, it's a good chance that it's going to take the rest of the season for them to be able to do it. Right, and it starts with winning series, which they kind of started to do, right, by winning the first 2 series of the month in May, and now they lost the last one, so now they're only 5-4, right? But the first thing they got to do is just continue to consistently win series. The problem is, for us fans, it's gonna take patience. But we don't have patience because we're Met fans. At the same time, we've had nothing but patience because we're Met fans. And we wait around and next year, and it's going to get better next week, and tomorrow's going to get better, and this is the game, and we're still here waiting. So we'll see what happens. Right now, besides the fact that, yes, the rest of the league stinks, and our pitching is pretty solid, I have no reason to tell you guys we are going to climb out of that hole.
Yep.
I don't. And I was going to ask. Somebody said the way to turn this around, not really ask, but kind of ask, the way to turn this around is to fire Stearns and Mendoza. I disagree. Maybe you want to tell me you fire Mendoza? Okay. That could maybe be it, because I will admit,
it works.
What he's cooking ain't really working, right? And if he's the one that's making these in-game decisions all on his own, which I think now I'm starting to believe he's really just following the data. But anyways, the point is, especially David Stearns. Like, let's be honest, I'm not a fan of David Stearns. I didn't want David Stearns to be hired in the first place. But now that he's here, I need him to succeed, because it's not as easy as we're going to fire David Stearns and boom, the next person comes in and fixes everything. Now we got to start hiring new people, new development, new this, new that, and change philosophies and change this. We need this to work.
Yes.
We need this to work. Is it going to work? I don't know. Is it going to work in 2026? It sure as hell doesn't look like it. But that's a long-ass final thought.
Yeah.
I apologize. But the bottom line is, let's keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. We need to start winning series. But it may take we've played 50 games. It may take all of the 112 games we have left to climb out of this damn hole. Do we have the guts for it? I don't know. I want to fucking throw up every time I watch this team. So I don't know.
Well, you know what? 40 years is a long time for patience, guys. That's all I have to say. So 40 years, I wasn't born yet, so I'm not that old, but I'm getting there, I promise. But look, patience, yeah. I understand it, but it's been 40 years, and somebody's just got to figure it out. And maybe stability matters, right? As much as I don't like Stearns, and most of us don't like Stearns, maybe stability matters at the top. We will see, and we got a whole season to go. But one thing left I have to say: let's go Knicks, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go Knicks,
Sure,
baby.
Let's go Knicks.
Let's go. All right, guys. So Queen's Faithful Roundtable, episode 1 in the books. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channels. Get.
My bad. One thing, Rob, because I messed up early on, so I just want to put this out there. I don't want no problems with anybody. When I put it out, I mistakenly put Queens Baseball Roundtable. Obviously, we're not the Queens Baseball guys. This is a totally different group. I apologize to the Queens baseball guys. I realized a mistake. I tried to correct it as the stream was going. It wouldn't let me. This is the Queens Faithful Round Table put together by my man Rob, and unfortunately they got me here. But
Shout
everybody
out.
else here is great.
Shout out
but yeah,
Flip and them.
yeah, but
Yeah,
shout
yeah.
out Queens Baseball, and I don't even think Flip is part of Queens Baseball anymore. But who the hell knows?
Oh,
Anyways,
Keith. I
so
don't know. I don't know.
Queens
Hey,
Baseball,
listen.
those guys, and yeah. So this is
Oh.
Queens Faithful Roundtable.
All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in to episode 1. We'll see you next week on the roundtable, guys. Have a great night, and always let's go Mets, guys. Good night.
Go Mets,
Let's
baby.
go,
Peace.
Mets.